Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to G2 Gaming with me, the Gundam Man. How is everybody doing today? Good? Good? I hope so. And if you're not doing good, I'm sorry to hear such a thing. I hope my video can help you at least cheer up a little bit. But yeah, because today we are talking about something very cool and exciting. Today we are going to talk about more of one of my favorite games of all time, and definitely of this year, and that is For Honor. And it's going to be something exciting regarding Season 2 content. More specifically, I'm going to join the number of videos that are already out on the YouTubes about the new heroes that were announced at last week's Warriors Den. These characters are wicked cool, by the way. Yep, we're going to talk about the two new characters and the reveals of the Centurion and Shinobi. I'll have timestamps for each character if you just want to jump into a specific character, but in the future, I do plan on covering a moveset preview, an overview of each character's moveset right when they're available for everybody to play as. And then later on down that line in the future, if I do like the characters, I will be planning to do a character guide like I did the Orochi, and like I'm doing with the Kensei. Now I know I've been talking about the Kensei Ultimate Master Guide a lot, and I haven't published it at all. I finished writing it. I'm getting ready to record all my audio for it. I've got all my video for it. It's just a matter of recording the audio, putting the video together, and doing that. So bear with me. It will be out pretty soon. A little bit more on that towards the end of this video. So anyways, I will go over what was released and what was revealed in this past Warriors Den, and what I think of each character, and break down the quick video of each one that we've got, and kind of contemplate and speculate about some of the possibilities that each character will present. But anyways, let's begin, shall we? So first, we're going to go over the very first character that they revealed during the Warriors Den, and that is the Roman Centurion. During the Warriors Den, game director Roman introduced the Centurion, saying, "Somewhere in the south of the world in For Honor, there is an old empire still living, and they are sending one of their most important BA warriors to help the knights, and that is the Centurion." So we don't really get a lot of information from that exposition, other than the fact that the Centurion will indeed be helping and joining the Knights faction. So as of this reveal, we know that the first character being released will be joining the Knights. If you guys remember all those leaks that came out in March about each character, well, the Centurion leak did leak, and it was a correct leak. But one of the things in this leak made it look like there's going to be a mercenary class or mercenary faction joining the war, or joining the character list. That has been debunked and will not be the case. Now, I don't know if they're just going to add the Centurion in on the Knights faction list right after the Lawbringer, or between the Lawbringer and the Peacekeeper or something like that. That would make the most sense, or be the easiest, I would think, instead of just adding an entirely new line for the two characters and the future characters on top of that. So just be aware of that idea. They then go on to play the teaser video for the character. It opens with the Centurion walking down a hall, and you basically see the back of the Centurion. I mean, you don't really see much of anything else. You see the feet of the Centurion as the camera will pan up, revealing more of the legs and what looks to be like a cape, but we don't know for sure. Then it cuts to a more over-the-shoulder, behind the back, over-the-shoulder shot of the Centurion walking. And you see pauldrons, the little shoulder plated armor. You see that he is wearing a helmet, and it's more than likely a cape. The video then cuts to another shot of the Centurion attacking a Peacekeeper, this time with a thrusting attack. This thrusting attack looks like it's a heavy attack. And as a matter of fact, in later on in the Warriors Den, Roman actually does say that the attack, which is then shown in a screenshot of the character, is a heavy thrusting stabbing attack very similar to the Peacekeeper's dashing, stabbing attack as well. So be on the lookout for that having a possibility, and probably a long range similar to the Peacekeeper's long range stab of the same nature. I do find it somewhat odd, though, that the teaser of a character supposed to be with the Knights class is attacking another Knight character. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, the entire thing of For Honor, yeah, the Centurion's going to be joining the Knights faction, but at this point, it's nothing really story related, so it doesn't really matter. But I just found that kind of interesting. The video then cuts to a opposite shot of the same attack, and it looks like it's starting an execution. The Centurion pulls the blade of the gladius, which is what he's wielding. He's using a gladius, a Roman sword, the traditional Roman sword that you would think. So if you've seen the movie Gladiator, the sword that Russell Crowe's character Maximus uses most of the time, that is a gladius. So he pulls that out of the Peacekeeper, causing the Peacekeeper to fall forward onto one knee. Then the Centurion knees the Peacekeeper in the head, causing the Peacekeeper to fall back. And the Centurion then walks over the Peacekeeper with his thumb extended out and kind of trying to figure out which direction to point the thumb. The thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, or whatever. The typical stereotype that you have with the gladiators of ancient Rome and the Colosseums and stuff, where the emperor or the person putting on the show decides if the losing fighter is going to live or die or whatever with the thumb. The jury's still out on how historically accurate all those gestures are. But anyways, you get the idea from this video. Then it cuts up close to the Centurion when the Centurion finally decides on the down position and then proceeds to do an overhead strike down towards the Peacekeeper. I'm guessing that this is an execution. Roman did say that he believes that the Centurion has one of the coolest executions in the entire game. So I don't know if it was talking about that specific execution or not. But either way, I think he's probably going to be right. It's going to have one of the coolest executions. A lot of the executions in For Honor are pretty cool, especially the new ones. But anyways, from these shots, we also get a better view of the character model of the Centurion. We see that it has that typical chiseled plated armor on the torso. Again, much like you would see in the Gladiator movie, with the pecs detailed, the abs detailed, and all this other stuff. So you have that piece on the torso. You do have those pauldrons, those shoulder-plated armor. You do have the gauntlets. You do have leg armor as well. You have a mask. It looks to be as if the mask is like inserted into the helmet. Like the helmet and the mask are two separate pieces. I'm not exactly sure. But either way, I don't think you'll be customizing both the mask and the helmet itself. I think it'll all be one customization piece. But I'll talk about that a little bit more a little bit later. Going back to the attacks and the movement of the Centurion, it does look like the first attack was probably a heavy attack that impaled the sword into the Peacekeeper, like I was saying earlier. Very reminiscent of the Peacekeeper's own heavy attack, the dashing R2, the dashing heavy attack, the Peacekeeper has, that covers a scary amount of ground whenever you're fighting and trying to flee away from the Peacekeeper. Just a dash R2 or left or right trigger or whatever the heavy attack button is for whatever console or system you play on. But the Peacekeeper has a very similar attack. And like the Peacekeeper, it initiated an execution prompt. So that's what I'm getting from this entire video right here. Now back to the Warrior's Den itself. According to Roman, the Centurion is an interesting character and has a lot of initiating and opening moves. So there's a lot more moves that you got to learn how the Centurion opens a fight. That harkens back to one of my top tips in my top 5 tips of For Honor on how to get better, is to learn the opening moves of each character. Roman just said that he has a lot of initiating opening moves. The Centurion also have some moves that'll knock you down and can perhaps easily combo into a follow-up move, and that it has one of the best executions. Later, Roman says that the Centurion will be classified as a hybrid character, which makes him fall under the same class technically as the Lawbringer, Valkyrie, and Nobushi, but he's supposed to be a hybrid between the Vanguard and Assassins. And I mean, that's gonna be cool. I mean, two of my favorite characters are the Orochi, which is an assassin character, and the Kensei, which is a Vanguard character. So the combination of both of those classes sounds good. It's kind of, the jury's still out on which is going to be which class the Centurion is going to lean more towards. I'm of the mindset that it's going to lean more towards the Vanguard class than it is the Assassin class, but we'll talk about that here in just a second. By my opinions and by the look of the character, it appears he will have comparable reach to the Orochi or maybe the Warden, with a play style of the Valkyries, since there's a lot of knockdown moves. So maybe I would say he has the reach of the Orochi, the durability of the Warden, and the play style of the Valkyrie. I don't know how accurate that's going to be. This is all pretty much speculation by what I've seen. I imagine this week's Warriors Den will actually see a little bit more. I'm hoping. Here's hoping, right? Now, the Valkyrie has a little bit more reach than I would expect the Centurion to have. So to be honest, I would not be surprised to see if the character may have a move that knocks down enemies on a dodge or a parry. Maybe more likely on a dodge, because I see a knockdown on every parry perhaps getting a little bit OP. So I did promise to talk about what I believe some of the customization options for the Centurion are going to be. So as far as customization for the character goes, I don't think it would be hard to expect that we will see or that we'll be able to obtain various helmets or masks for the helmets. Like I said previously, I don't believe that they're two separate pieces that we're going to be able to change out. I believe we're going to change out one or the other, or that we're going to be changing out both at the same time, because they're going to be both viewed as the same piece of equipment. We're going to be able to switch out the pauldrons, much like you can switch out the shoulder harness on the Lawbringer, the Valkyrie, and the Orochi, and characters like that. And maybe the gauntlets, probably the gauntlets. I would be surprised that the gauntlets were not a customizable piece of armor that you can get, especially because in the screenshot that they showed, the gauntlets are very different looking. To a lot of people, they say that the gauntlet on the left arm of the Centurion is bigger than the one on the right. You can't really see the right one too much. But to me, they both look more or less the same size. But that can that can be a little bit different as far as that's concerned. And you might maybe perhaps have the ability to customize the leg armor. So like I said earlier, when it comes to the gauntlets, it appears that in the video or even in the screenshot, like I said, that the left gauntlet was slightly bigger than the right. But I also told you my opinion that I didn't think you could see the right to really judge the size of it. So I think they're going to be much similar in size. But I like the idea, to be honest. I like the idea of one being bigger than the other to differentiate the difference of style in the Centurion compared to other characters. You have other characters that don't have shields, such as the Lawbringer, the Nobushi, almost any other character except for the Warlord, the Conqueror, and the Valkyrie, all block with their specific weapon. So they're going to block with the axe, the swords, and all this other stuff. I think the Centurion having one arm, one gauntlet bigger than the other, provides a cool aspect and different guard style than any of the other characters, because that indicates that he will be using one arm for defense and the other arm for offense. And I think that is such a cool idea. Now, because of this possibility, we have to discuss a little bit about the difference or the type of hybrid character that this character is going to be. Again, Roman said that it was going to be a hybrid character between a vanguard and an assassin. So with that being said, will the assassin part be where it has only a temporary stance similar to all the assassins do, where you move your stick or move in the direction of the attack but you don't have a constant guard? Or will you have a constant guard like all the other characters minus the assassins? So if the Centurion doesn't have a full stance or a constant guard stance, then I don't believe that the Centurion is going to be blocking with one arm and attacking with the other. I do think that the Centurion is going to go ahead and guard and attack with the Gladius itself. Now, again, if he does have a constant guard stance, then I do think, and I do see the possibility that the Centurion is going to guard with his left arm and attack with his Gladius, or maybe he'll guard left and right, or left and up with his attack arm and then switch guard for his right. I don't know. It'll also be interesting to see how parries work off of them. Again, I think that there is a possibility that the Centurion could have a parry attack that's a knockdown, an automatic knockdown, or it could have a dodge that's an automatic knockdown. And also another thing that you have to discuss with it being an Assassin Vanguard hybrid, will it have a deflect? Because the Assassins have deflects, and some Vanguard characters, or the Kensei at least, has a superior block dash. That also kind of works as a deflect, sometimes, depending on how everything goes. So will it have a superior dodge block, or will it have a deflect, or will it have none of those? Only time will tell. But anyway, this is all we've got for the Centurion. I actually like the tease. Of course, with every teaser, you want a little bit more. So I wish they would have given us a little bit more, maybe a look or so at maybe another move with a full execution. I think that would have been cool. But I think, and hopefully they'll show more in the next Warriors Den or the next one or two Warriors Den. There's only a couple of weeks between the first Warriors Den or last week's Warriors Den and the time this character is going to be released. So that's pretty much all we've got for the Centurion. So I hope you guys enjoyed that part. Now we're going to talk about the Shinobi reveal. So as with the Centurion, the Shinobi was also leaked only under the moniker of Ninja. It was just supposed to be called Ninja according to the leak. But this is called the Shinobi, and even the Season Pass logo or banner art or whatever you want to call it, they show that the Centurion and the Shinobi were more than likely going to be the first characters released for Honor in the Season Pass and stuff like that. So at least we weren't completely in the dark about them. They were kind of somewhat expected. So Roman's synopsis for the Shinobi is as follows. There's been a civil war among the samurai, and there's a new empire that has risen. That guy or woman needs help to maintain their structure and to defeat the knights and the Vikings. And so there is an old samurai cult that they are asking to help, and those are the Shinobi. Then very similarly to the Centurion, they played the short reveal video for the Shinobi. The video opens with the character sprinting forward with the camera positioned behind him. We can see some pouches, standards, and chains hanging off from one of his arms. It appears to have a spiked shoulder piece as well. Then the video cuts to a headless profile tracking shot revealing the leg and armor clothing. One of the legs has a leather pouch or a leather strap with some kunai in them, so you can pretty much determine that this character probably has kunai available for him as a feat, which makes sense because, again, based on the synopsis, it does sound like, and Roman does confirm, that the Shinobi will be joining the samurai faction's ranks. It is also revealed in this shot that the character is wielding two Kusari Gamas, which are basically, if you don't know, are two scythe-like short scythe-like weapons with chains attached to them. If you've played previous Dynasty Warriors games, then in I think Dynasty Warriors 6 or maybe 7, there was a character named Gan Ning that wielded one Kusarigama, or at least I'm pretty sure it was a Kusarigama. It might have been, it was a similar weapon to the Kusarigama. It might have been called something else. But think that kind of attack, only his was pretty big, whereas these are pretty small. Very similar to the Berserker's axes. The chains of the Kusarigamas are actually wrapped around the character's forearms, very similar to how the Conqueror wraps around the chain of his flail around his forearm in some emotes and at the end of some executions and idol as well. So the chain for the Shinobi's Kusarigamas are kind of wrapped around his arms. Once again, Kusarigamas are weapons that have sickles attached to sickles or scythe-like weapons attached to a chain that is designed typically for use to long range and close quarter combat. There's no medium range there. It's either long range, hence why they have the chains, or it's close range, which is where the scythe part or the scythe blade comes in handy. The next shot, the character runs up the body of a warden as it launches himself into the air and turns around, landing behind the warden. The next shot is of a dodge or counter move, followed with the shinobi throwing one of his weapons into the warden. This looks like an execution setup similar to the Centurion's attack that they showed in the reveal video for the Centurion as well. So similar idea, similar kind of format of this video as it was with the Centurion. That throw of the sickle or of the Kusarigama into the warden is probably a heavy attack from long range. Then the shinobi pulls the warden back towards him, and then in the next shot flips the warden over his shoulder. This also seems to be an execution as well. Again, very much like the Centurion video that they just showed, or that they had showed previously to this video. And like I said earlier, the Kusarigama being thrown into the warden was probably a heavy attack, and then that probably will trigger an execution prompt where you would go into this execution, pulling the warden towards you and then flipping him over your body, and then probably finishing off some other way. From these shots, we also see that the shinobi has a mask covering his mouth and nose, and a headpiece covering pretty much his entire head, or his or her entire head, leaving only the eyes visible, eyes and eyebrows, if you want to get technical, visible to the people playing or to the enemy or whatever. We also see he is also wearing a leather piece of armor on his torso. And like many of the other characters, he does have shoulder armor and gauntlets as well. So more about this character, the devs did say that they were trying out something completely different with the shinobi, intending the character to be a very long-range based attacker. Ideally, you'd open the attacks at long range, get closer for a few attacks, and then retreat backwards and reset. So it sounds as if this character is going to have the longest range attack out of any of the other characters currently in the game, such as the Nobushi, Lawbringer, and Kensei, and maybe the Valkyrie, and maybe the Raider, depending on how you view the Raider, as far as his range is concerned. This character, according to the devs, is also intended to have a wide variety and range of attacks, but is also very difficult to master. Now, this will be interesting because under the Orochi, it is classified to be a very difficult character to master as well. And that ended up being my favorite and probably the easiest character for me to learn. So it'll be interesting to see how much difficult the shinobi is going to be to learn compared to, say, the Orochi or the Valkyrie. But to be honest, this kind of makes me believe that perhaps the shinobi may have some of the weakest individual attacks, similar to the Peacekeeper or the Valkyrie, or even the Conqueror for that matter. Because the Conqueror's single lights are pretty weak. His heavy attack, when it's not charged up, is also pretty weak. So I'm kind of expecting the shinobi's individual attacks to be very similar. I'm not expecting his single heavy attack to execute, to kill somebody from 1.5 segments of health left like most characters are able to do. Based on what the devs have said, in other speculation, it seems as if the shinobi will have a charged attack much like the Conqueror's heavy attack, but perhaps instead of charging to strengthen the attack, maybe it'll be a charge to extend the range of the eventual attack. Another thing to note is that unlike the Centurion, the Shinobi will be part of the assassin class. It's not going to be a hybrid of an assassin or something else. It will strictly be an assassin class. And just by looking at the character, you can kind of see why it will be considered an assassin class. 1, it's quick. 2, it's very lightly armored. And 3, it's got very short weapons and very quick weapons, similar to, like I said earlier, the Berserker's axes, the Orochi's katana, or even the Peacekeeper's dual-wielding swords, which is one is a sword and one is more like a dagger. So the Shinobi is going to be exclusively part of the assassin class in the samurai faction. This means that the character will not have a constant guard stance. It will have one of those temporary guard stance where you have to actively change and move your guard. For us assassin mains who main the Orochi, Berserker, or Peacekeeper, that won't mean anything to us. We're used to it. But for all of you guys who are interested in playing the Shinobi but not an assassin main, well, be on the lookout and be aware for that. I'll go a little bit more in detail whenever I actually cover the character, whenever it's released. Also, expect the Shinobi to have a deflect and superior and faster dodges as well. I'm actually very curious to see how the Shinobi's deflect is going to chain into a combo, or if it's going to be very similar to the Berserkers, who doesn't really have a viable chain for a deflect other than a guard break. I would also imagine the speed of this character to be faster than almost all other characters, and comparable to that with the Peacekeeper's speed. Again, it's supposed to be able to retreat quickly after initiating combat at a long range, and then close quarter combo, it's supposed to get back pretty quick. Or it's supposed to be able to get away from its opponent pretty quick as well. So that just tells me that it's supposed to be a fairly quick character. Again, comparable to the Peacekeeper. Peacekeeper is one of the fastest characters, if not the fastest character in For Honor. The Nobushi is also a fast character. The Orochi even is a pretty fast character, but the Berserker isn't. So I do imagine that the Shinobi will be one of, if not the newest, fastest character in the game when he's released. This is another reason why I believe that the Shinobi's attacks is going to be weaker than the average character's attacks as well, is because, again, he's supposed to be able to move very quickly, supposed to go in from long range, knock you up a little bit with his Kusarigamas, and then retreat, and then repeat. Retreat, and then repeat. Be on the lookout. Be aware that he might not be the strongest character, as he does have a lot of attacks, and he's going to be very quick. Because who else believes that a fast-moving, strong-attacking character sounds a little OP? Also, I feel like the Shinobi could be set up to have quite a few advantages over many other characters due to its perceived speed and long range. But I also believe that this character will prove to be very punishable as well, with quite a few attacks that will have low recovery time and thus a wide opening to be punished. But overall, I think the Shinobi will prove to be the most challenging of the two characters, and like the Valkyrie, I think many will say that the Centurion is the most annoying. Anyways, onto the Shinobi's customization. I imagine we will have the ability to customize and change a lot of the very similar things that you can in almost any other character. I believe that you'll be able to change the headpiece, the shoulders, the chest, and as far as the weapon is concerned, however, this is where I have a few more questions. But overall, I think the customization for the Shinobi's Kusarigamas will be very similar to that of the Berserker's axes. I feel like we'll be able to change the blades and the grips of the weapons, although I'm not sure if we'll be able to change each blade out as you can with the Berserker's axes. Overall, I feel like these characters are going to be very playable for me. At the moment, I have my Orochi at Reputation 4, Level 3, which is a total level of 83. My Kensei is Reputation 3 at Level 11, which is 71. My Valkyrie is Reputation 2, Level 3, which is a total level of 43. My Lawbringer is Reputation 1, Level 15, which is a total level of 35. And I spend a majority of my time playing these characters. My next highest is the Shigoki at level 10. No reputation, just level 10. I haven't touched the Conqueror in ages, which sits at level 6, as I do prefer playing the Shigoki whenever I have heavy character orders that I need to complete in the game. I haven't touched the Raider, the Warden, Peacekeeper, or Nobushi, though I think I might consider playing the Nobushi at some time. So I am looking forward to having these 2 new characters join the battle. I think it'll be extremely fun and extremely cool. But anyways, that pretty much wraps up my intro to these characters. In the future, like I said earlier, I will be previewing both characters, both of their movesets once they become available in the game. So some of the things for you guys to keep in mind, however, these characters will not be 100% free. For Season Pass holders, they will, however, be 100% free because you've paid for that content, and so you're going to get it for free. For those of you who are not Season Pass holders, this will cost you 15k steel each to unlock and recruit. They're not going to cost 15k to unlock and then another 500 to recruit like the other characters do. They'll just be 15k to unlock and recruit at the same time, totaling 30k. It is probably worth noting that, to be honest, I feel like this amount is good. I don't think it's too much and I don't think it's too little. But to be completely honest, I think that 15k is still a little bit too low for Season Pass holders. Like, I feel like it makes Season Pass holders feel that they bought the Season Pass for nothing. Yes, 15k isn't easy to unlock, isn't easy to get, but at the same time, or 30k in this matter, isn't easy to get necessarily, but at the same time, I think a little bit more would not have hurt, but at the same time, I am glad that it's not extremely low, and I'm glad that it's not extremely high. I think 15k, as much as I think that it might have been a little bit better to go a little bit higher, I think 15k is appropriate. Either way, you'll be able to play with and against the characters starting May 16th. You can play both characters for free without paying the 15k in practice mode only. So that's something that you can note there as well. If you don't want to necessarily buy them, or if you want to test ride or test drive them, you have that option there. So again, if nothing else, be sure to practice against level 2 and level 3 bots in custom modes to get a good feel of how to and what to expect from these characters when fighting them on the battlefield. So there you have it, folks. I hope that gave you a pretty good look of what we have gotten so far of the new characters, the Centurion and the Shinobi, coming May 16th along with 2 new maps and the start of the new season. Expect me to be doing a moveset preview at or around May 16th and a possible full character guide, depending on how much I like the characters down the road. I'll be releasing my Kensei Ultimate Master Guide over the course of 5 days, coming soon, but they will all be posted by the time the new characters come out. That way, I'm only focused on those new characters for you guys. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think about the characters, about the new characters down below in the comment section. I will reply to anybody who does comment. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel for more For Honor content, as well as other gaming and related news. I do have a new podcast coming up, a new episode of the podcast coming up pretty soon, so be on the lookout for that. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Adios and peace until next time.